Hello, friends. Welcome to this 20-minute expansive vinyasa flow. We'll begin seated in child's pose, taking deep breaths in through the nostrils and letting out what doesn't serve us on the exhale. A few more deep, mindful breaths here. And we'll shift forward and come into an upward dog. Just a little back bend here. You don't have to get too deep in it. And we'll shift back into child's pose. Do that again 2 more times at your own pace, shifting forward into upward dog, and then shift back into child's pose. It could be narrow or wide-legged child's pose. Step the feet behind us and come into a plank. Shift forward and back onto the toes, getting more movement into the wrists, the ankles, the toes, the shoulders, and then we'll bring the hips up and back into a downward facing dog. Heels do not have to touch the mat. Opening up the backside body here. And we'll shift forward onto the toes, come into a plank. We'll oscillate between the two, so downward dog to plank and back. Just inviting more space, more expansion into the backside of our body. And from downward dog, we'll come forward onto the toes into plank. Shift forward, come down to the knees, and come all the way down onto your mat. Rise up into a baby cobra on your fingertips. Option 2, bring your hands to the edges of your mat and come up on your fingertips into a baby cobra. Option here is you can come up into a cobra, look over to the left, and come back up into a baby cobra, look over to the right. And then we'll put our hands right next to our sides and we'll lift our legs up off the mat and down. And up again, just engaging the back side of our body, our hamstrings, our glutes, our lower back. And now we'll extend the arms ahead and front and then come up on the inhale, extend, come back down onto the mat. So little back bends here. Squeeze your shoulder blades as you come up. Then option on the inhale when you rise is to cactus the arms, bend the elbows, and then bring your arms forward and release back down to the mat. Come back up through tabletop and sit back into child's pose. Crawl your hands over to the left side, bring the hips over to the right, getting more space in our side bodies, in our intercostal muscles between the ribs. And then crawl your hands over to the right side, hips lean over to the left, creating more space in the left side body. And we'll bring our fingertips back to the middle of the mat. And in child's pose, have our hands in prayer, bend our elbows back, and release. Shift forward through tabletop. Bring the toes under and shift your hips up and back into a downward dog. Look forward, bend the knees, step up to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slight bend in the knee, rise up slowly. And from standing, we'll inhale the arms up high. Exhale, open arm twist to the right. Inhale back through center, open arm twist to the left. Inhale back through center, forward fold, come down. Inhale, halfway lift on the fingertips. Plant the palms, exhale, step back into plank. You can go through a chaturanga. You can also take this from the knees and we'll meet in downward dog. Warming up here. Inhale, bring the right leg high. Exhale, open up the hip, bend your knee. We'll extend the leg again, look forward, bring the knee through, plant the foot in between your hands. Come up into warrior two. Knee is stacked over the ankle. Activate both of your arms. And then we'll bend the knee and come down into extended side angle on this side. Broaden the collarbones, open up the chest towards the left side. If it's available to you, look up. And then we'll bring our arm extended back behind us and prepare for a half moon on this side. Pick a point to look at, to concentrate on while you're lifting and extending through the top leg. Open up through the top arm. Option here is to grab onto your left foot and open up into sugar cane. Big chest opener here, hip opener, working on balance and strength. Release the top leg back into half moon pose and step back into a side lunge. Option to open up the arm here. Flex the right foot and release. And we'll move over to a side lunge on the other side. You can keep your hands on the mat or you can extend your left arm. And we'll come out and come into a wide-legged fold. And hold on to your ankles here. It's a big opener of the back side of our body. Hands underneath our faces, rise up, crawl to the top of your mat, and go through a chaturanga or meet in downward dog. Few breaths here. Deep inhales through the nostrils. Exhale what you don't need. Inhale, lift the left leg high. Option to bend the knee, get a little more movement into your hips. Extend the left leg again, look forward, bring the knee forward, and place the foot between your palms. And we'll step up into warrior two. Hips are in line with our shoulders. Front knee is stacked over our ankle. Long lines of energy between our fingertips. And then bend the left knee and meet in extended side angle. You can also take this with your hands on the mat or bring your elbow onto your left knee. If your hands are on the mat, make sure your fingertips are just lightly touching the mat. And then we'll come up and meet in half moon on this side. Fix your eyes on a drishti point. Open up the chest. Option here to grab onto your right foot and open up into sugar cane. A lot going on here, a lot of strength, a lot of balance, a lot of concentration. Be kind to yourself. If you fall out, it's all okay. Open back up into half moon and gracefully bring the foot down and come into a side lunge on the right side. And then over to the left side. And from here, we'll turn to face the front of your mat. Come into chaturanga. Back into downward dog. Take a few deep breaths here. Reorient. Look forward, bend the knees, step to the top of your mat. Inhale, sit up into chair pose. Arms are by our ears. And then slowly bring the right knee up into tree on this side. Grounding your left foot into the mat. Arms are raised high. You can play here and even try closing your eyes. And then release tree and come into a standing figure 4 on this side. Flat back, bend forward. Stretching out, opening up the hamstrings and glutes. And big power here. Release your figure 4 and extend the right leg behind you into warrior 3. Extend your arms in front of you, or in prayer, or to the back, or to the sides. Take your option here. Release warrior 3. Bring your right leg behind you. Come down onto the mat into a low lunge. Option to back bend here. Look up, look at your fingers, and then move towards the back of the room into a baby back bend. Release the back bend, and we'll set up for a pyramid on this side. You can allow for a little softness in the left leg. Bring your navel into your spine and try to bring your chest as close as you can to your left leg. And we'll look up, step back through chaturanga, and meet in downward dog. Deep inhales here. Exhale what you do not need, what does not serve you. Look forward. Step to the top of your mat and come into chair pose. And we'll stand up, bring the left leg up into tree pose on this side. Standing tall, rooting your right foot into the mat. Take an option here to close your eyes. Bring your awareness into your body. Hands into prayer, release tree and come into a figure 4. Navel into the spine, shoulders away from the ears, fold forward. And now really ground into your right foot as you prepare for warrior 3. Extend the left leg back. Arms are out in front of you. A long line of energy from your fingertips all the way back to your left toes. And then release Come down into low lunge on this side. Our left leg is extended behind us. Right leg is bent. Option to come into a baby back bend here. We'll come forward, back through low lunge. Hands are on the mat. And prepare for pyramid on this side. Rebend the knee, come through tabletop, and then we'll sit down onto our mat, facing the long edge of our mat, and we'll prepare for cow face pose on this side. So the right leg is stacked over the left, the knees are stacked on top of each other. Option to bring the arms in a bind behind our back. You can also use a towel if your hands do not touch behind your back. And then we'll release and do the opposite side. So the left knee is now over the right knee, heels are by our sides. Option to come into a bind here with our hands behind our backs. Sitting up tall, rooting through the mat. And then when we are ready, we'll release cow face pose. Come to lay onto our mats, and we'll do an easy twist over to the left side. So cross the right leg over the left, shift the hips over a little bit to the side, and then bring the knees down to the left side of the mat. You can look over to the right side. And then we will release. And now bring the left leg over the right leg, scooch the hips over to the side, and then bring the knees down to the right side. Option to look over to the left. And then when you're ready, we'll extend the legs long. I invite you to close your eyes or soften the gaze. We'll come into our final rest of Shavasana. And you can stay here, or if you're ready, come up slowly into a seated position and take a moment to honor yourself. Thank you so much for joining this practice. Have a wonderful day.